Hello and welcome to My Unpopular Opinions. And today's opinion might be the most unpopular of them all. I'm recording this video on the 24th of June 2025. And if you're watching it soon after, you know what's been going on in the world recently. If you're watching it later, you probably know what was going on in the world at this time, or hopefully this data is not erased from the internet and you can find the information about that. So the world has been going crazy. It's been going crazy for a while now, but it kind of feels like it has never been as intense and as it got very recently. And as much as it is extremely scary and terrifying and unpredictable, um, I think there is some kind of a bigger meaning behind whatever the fuck is happening. Because it's really hard to tell what really is happening because we heavily rely on media and we know that it's not always objective, let's put it that way. So, as someone who believes that there is always a higher meaning behind everything that is going on in our lives, and trust me, I have been through a lot of shit. And I have all the reasons to think that I'm just fucking cursed. Um, but I have an opinion about what is going on and why. Uh, so what is going on is a pure chaos. And lots of people are suffering from it directly. Even more people are suffering from it indirectly. Nobody knows what to do, what's going to happen. There is no stability in this world. And as someone who grew up in a dictatorship, a part of me is also like, well, finally, people can understand what it's been like for me to grow up because I've grown up in this state. Like I've was in this state all the time, and it's not that there must be some like actual rockets flying around and stuff to get into this mental state of not knowing what's going to happen and being completely stuck and paralyzed. And of course, I'm not happy that this is happening, and I don't think that any of us deserve to experience anything like this. But here we are, experiencing all of this. Then I think that it's important to look deeper into what it is and what really can be done, and how we can take care of ourselves in order to be able to also take care of other people who need more external help. So I have been thinking, and this thought that has been coming up to me is like, who are the judges? Who are in control, whether globally or just who's in control of your own life? You know, it all goes down to your own personal singular life, and we are all interconnected. But who is in control of your own life? Who's in control of your own narrative? Who influences how you feel and what you think? And I think that this pure chaos, whether it's intended or not, is a really great opportunity to tune into ourselves and just to ask ourselves, who is the judge? Who is in the right? Who is in the wrong? What is the right and what is the wrong? And I'm going to give a very trivial example. Um, like, I'm doing comedy, and I love doing comedy, and for me comedy has been a way to escape the harsh reality when I was growing up. um, and it's also a great way to process the challenging situations that have happened to me. And I consider myself quite a funny person in general. And there were many things that were keeping me away from pursuing doing comedy, like more loudly, more explicitly, more than just with my friends and my circle. And one of those things was about who's going to judge whether I'm good or not. Who is responsible for uh, like evaluating whether I'm good or not? Is this the audience? Is this the other more experienced comedians? Uh, my family? Who's gonna tell me? Who's gonna know whether I'm good or not? And that was one of the many things that was stopping me. But when other things that were stopping me were not in the way anymore, that was the thing that was stopping me. And I only started doing it when I realized that I am my own judge. And I'm not trying to become a world famous comedian. That would be cool if that happened, but it's not exactly the goal. And I'm not going to see myself as a failure if it does not happen. Um, is the audience the judge? I mean, those are usually strangers that are drunk and come for some entertainment, and sometimes it happens that the crowd at an open mic or at a show is just dead. They're just not really reacting to jokes. The energy is just off. It happens. I have seen it happening whenever I was performing, and I was not expecting people to laugh at me super hard. But when I saw them not laughing at somebody who is definitely, like, I believe is more experienced and I believe is also very funny, they were not laughing at them either. So that happens. And we also don't know, like, these are the strangers that come to events, and giving away the power of them judging whether we're good or not is like ridiculously stupid. And it just makes me realize, okay, then if the audience is not exactly the judge, because I can go to an open mic and the audience might be completely quiet for some reason, and not just for me but for everybody else. And then the next show I do can be like a lot of laughter, a lot of clapping, a lot of positive reaction. And then who's right? Where is the objectivity here? There is none. There is no objectivity here. Of course, like, if you don't get laughters consistently over like 50 shows in a row, then probably, like, there might be something about you or your jokes, or something is really off there. But if it's kind of different from show to show, I don't think that audience is very reliable in that way. Then, what about more experienced comedians? Should they know better if you're good or not? So that was also something that was stopping me. Um, because I personally, like, I have my own sense of humor and everybody has theirs. And sometimes, like, I don't find some people very funny. And then if it's somebody who is more successful, I was thinking, okay, then if their comedy is so popular and my comedy is different, and if they receive so much positive response, then I will not receive it because I am different and I don't resonate with that. And yet, I started realizing that if the audience is cracking up at the jokes that I don't find funny from somebody else, which also does not mean that they are bad. Comedy and pretty much everything in the world is subjective. I was like, okay, but, like, I actually wouldn't want them to laugh at my jokes because our sense of humor does not resonate. So then again, like, the audience, it's pretty unpredictable. And other comedians as well. they can have just a very different sense of humor. They can have a very different style. They can have a very different experience. And not every comedian who's more experienced than you can really appreciate your style or your jokes. And I mean, it also happens that somebody is just scared of competition as well. I'm not talking about myself. It just happens. People's egos get in the way and cause all the problems in the world. So after really like thinking about it for a long, long time, I realized that the only judge of my, like the main judge of my comedy is just me. If my jokes may make me laugh, then it's good enough. And if there are some other people in the world who also find it funny and resonate and appreciate it, then it is great. Then, yeah, maybe performing is is something I should be doing. But again, if I don't immediately find my audience, if I don't immediately get super successful and popular, that does not mean that I shouldn't be doing that, right? So that was I was thinking about the comedy. But isn't it the same for literally everything else? I think it is. Because we know so many examples of artists, of creative people who were not recognized during their lifetime, and then boom, decades or even centuries after they died, suddenly their work is considered to be masterpieces. How? Why? Where were they ahead of their time? Were they surrounded by the wrong people? How does it happen? Who decides that this is a masterpiece? Why people of their time could not see it as a masterpiece? Why would they see something else as masterpiece? Why would they see something else as a good work and then not this? And so many artists have had miserable lives because their art was not understood and accepted, only to be recognized way, way, way after they died. So then, what do we do here? Who is the judge whether your art is good or not? The people around you or you? If you believe in your art, if this is your way of expressing yourself, if that's your way of processing things that are happening to you, how can somebody else be telling you that it is bad? Well, they can because of their egos. But the real question is, how do you allow them to get to you and to make you believe that it is bad? And it's one thing when you are trying to, for example, write a book in order to make money, and there are certain genres and certain ways of writing that are popular at the moment. And if you do it in a specific way, you're almost guaranteed to be successful and to sell a lot of copies. It's one thing, but it's a different thing if you're writing from your soul. And if there are some genres which require some strict structure, it's also one thing. But if it is your way of self expression, it can turn into a new genre or it does not have to fit in any genre. And then the real question is, are you doing it to just make money? Then, of course, you need feedback. You need the editors and the publishers to tell you what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, and how you should squeeze whatever the fuck you're doing into this specific frame that can bring everyone involved a lot of money. And it is very different when you're doing something that maybe has never been done before or maybe is uncommon. Maybe you're really ahead of your time. But if you get rejected by the publisher, if you were writing something, that does not mean that they know better. It definitely means that you're not meeting the requirements of what is selling best, but that does not mean that they know better. It doesn't matter how much money they have made. It doesn't matter how much experience in the industry they have. They cannot know what's going to happen in the future. And you can be a really talented artist, writer, creative person who is just doing something that might not have been done before. You can be a pioneer of something. I heard that like Harry Potter also was rejected many times before it was published. And I am personally absolutely not a Harry Potter fan. I tried to read it, I tried to watch the movies, and it's really not my thing. Absolutely not a fan. Not a hater, but not a fan either. And see how crazily popular it is, how crazily rich this woman is, despite all the controversies and other things that she's been doing and saying and tweeting. Um, but this example of her not giving up and still doing what she wanted to do, what she felt like doing, is inspiring, no matter how terrible are the other things about her. Here we are talking about expressing yourself creatively and seeing who is the judge of your art, and on a bigger scale in general of your life, and on how you perceive this world and how you can act in this world to make it a better place. So, if we talk about creative things, I think it's probably also the easiest example to give. And we can use the same approach to everything else. Because the way the society works at the moment is hierarchical or hierarchical, whatever the fuck the word is. And we have people in power. We have people who are under the people of in power, and it's very funny to see how the people that are literally like kind of given the power by us are abusing it and are just like they have massive, massive egos, and they believe that they're controlling us, which is actually technically true. Most people, they're just heavily relying on governments. And if you really look into the word government, which is like also very fucking obvious, govern is to control, meant is mind. So the word government itself like tells us that we are being controlled. And the thing is that we're technically electing people, but since the elections can be rigged, and me growing up in a dictatorship and have only witnessing rigged elections, faked results, ridiculously faked. I mean, like, you can fake it as 50% and you will still win. No, no, that's not enough. It has to be 90 fucking 7. Um, then, like, technically, by voting for people in power, we are technically hiring them to serve us. But what's really happening, we are giving away the power to them. And we believe that they are better than us and that they know better than us. And then they have to tell us what to do, what to think, what to feel, how to act, how much money to make, who to marry, and how many kids to have, and whether to have kids at all or not. And I just, I don't know. I grew up in a post Soviet dictatorship, and propaganda has been extremely strong, and it still is to this day. It's incredible how some people over there are just not questioning anything. They're just like propaganda it seems like something that exists beyond the human comprehension. It's not one person, it's not one system that enforces it. It's something that is way, way stronger than that. And I don't know how, being a child who grew up there, I feel like I was kind of immune to that. I was always looking at it critically. I always knew that it's something wrong. Like, how can I love the country if I'm forced to love it? And when I see people struggling in it, I know that love is kind of unconditional, and that's what I do believe. But that was not the case. I could not unconditionally love the place where I saw pretty much the suffering and people being forced to do things that they don't want to do, people not knowing that they have a free will and that they can relax and they can rest. That's not what I saw growing up. And it always felt really, really wrong to me. And I could not even explain it because everybody was miserable and depressed, drunk, but they were not questioning it. It's like there's no way that life can go any other way. And you have to shut up. And my wings were consistently being cut and broken, metaphorically speaking, by my family, by people around me, my employers, by the politicians, by, well, let's be honest, there's just one politician there. Politician. Um, I don't know how I was never buying into that, but I was not. And um, it also makes me kind of feel that this whole political system where, like, the place where I grew up, like, the laws were just rewritten by one person to suit whatever the fuck he wanted. So when, for example, I hear Americans refer a lot to their laws and using the word, oh, it's illegal or it is legal to do something, with their amendments, whatever the fuck that is. I don't even know what an amendment is, to be honest, and I don't even want to look it up because, again, the way I was brought up and grew up, like, we did not have any of that. We didn't have freedom of speech. We didn't have freedom of expression. Whatever the other freedoms are, I still might not know all of them. Um, but I do believe that just because we are human beings and we are born and we are alive, we are all, by definition, have all the human rights. We don't need anyone to grant them to us because we are humans, and all these laws, all these restrictions and the borders and shit, it is all created by other people, and we are looking at it as some higher power, but it is not. It's other people just trying to control us. And for example, a very painful example for some people is the visas and the border controls. While somebody is just born in a country with a privileged good passport, some people are born in countries from which they cannot just go anywhere else and they have to work super hard, make a lot of money, prove a lot of things in order to just get a visa, in order to just be granted entrance to another country. Is it fair? It's not fair at all. It's ridiculous. While it's amazing to have lots of different cultures out there that have their own history and cuisine and languages and stuff, I don't think borders should exist. It's crazy. It's dehumanizing. Every time I was interrogated at the border, having to prove that, oh, I'm just going shopping for one day, to have the tickets and to have all the proofs that I'm not going to stay there, interrogated by somebody who was just born there, just like I was born on the other side of the border. And it's like, how does this passport thing make you a better person than me? How does my passport make me a worse person than you? What the hell is that? Why cannot we all just be humans and just be equal and just all be friends? But as we can see now on the news, and for the least lucky of us, just outside and around us, um, that is not the reality. And I feel that the higher meaning behind all of the shit and chaos that is happening around us is looking back into ourselves and keep in mind all the information we have ever learned, but not allow it to dictate us what to think and what to feel. Keep it in mind. Yeah, just don't completely throw it away. But also keep in mind that it might make you biased, and it might be programming you, and just start questioning it. Does it really resonate? Does it really um does it really make sense? You know? It's just it's easier to control people when they are separated, when they don't like each other, when they're not connected. Um and again, I know that very well. But I think if we really tune into ourselves, we will see that this is not right. This is not good, and who benefits from it? Is there like anyone who's like not in the position of power who's really benefiting from any of that? And I honestly don't understand the benefits of having wars and why it's happening, and I'm not trying to understand it. I don't think I ever will. um but the thing is that it is us, the people who live in this world, who are in charge. We are in charge. And recently, I was finishing watching The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and it's not going to be a direct quote because I don't remember it exactly. And she was talking about women as opposed to men, but I think it's also very relevant if we talk about just humans as opposed to the politics and governments. Um, and it was something like, what if we have been the ones in charge this whole time, but no one told us? What if we were the ones in charge the whole time, but no one ever told us? Think about it. And I don't know where you're from and what your experience is with the rulers of your country, but in my country, people had to get together in order to solve problems that were caused by the government. We could not rely on the healthcare during the coronavirus. The coronavirus was literally just like, it was not existing officially, just because the dictator didn't see it with his own eyes on a hockey ice rink. Um, but somehow, when people were trying to leave the country, due to political reasons mostly, but also some other reasons. And usually the hardest part was to have the documents to enter another country. And during the pandemic, it became like almost impossible. So the lucky ones who managed to get some documents in order to enter other countries were denied like the right to leave the country, because suddenly, only whenever you had to cross the border, suddenly the pandemic existed. And you could only leave the country if you were going to work, study, or for medical treatment in another country. And if you like, well, tourism was not really happening much during the pandemic, but I don't know, maybe somebody had still valid tourist visa or something. Nobody fucking cared. There is a pandemic because somebody said there is a pandemic. Somebody who's in power, the dictator. But regarding everything else within the country, there was no pandemic. People were literally like making their own face masks. They were making like the protective gear for the doctors and nurses and medical workers. It was ridiculous, and it was all controlled by the government. And it didn't. Nothing mattered. It's just like one person said it, and it is true. And it obviously was not true. Objectively, subjectively, whatever, it was not true. And it was one of many examples that I have seen uh, in my life. And I knew that I could not rely on my government in my life. More than that, I had to flee the fucking country in order to stay alive. So when I see people from other countries who rely on the governments more, uh, I'm not saying that governments are evil. That's not true. But at the same time, corruption exists everywhere. It's not a purely Eastern European thing, though we have mastered and perfected it. Um, but it is everywhere, and anyone in the position of power will eventually develop things, and their ego will just keep expanding. And such a big power, it messes with your psyche. So my point is, in these weird times that we're all experiencing, I don't know how to solve all these problems. I don't know how to stop all this shit from happening. But I do believe that we all have to just question everything that we know and try to find the answers not here, but here. Not from whatever we were taught. Because if I was relying on whatever I was taught, I would just be blindly supporting a dictator who violates all the human rights. And there is no organization in the world that can grant you that. There is no government in the world that can grant you your rights to live, to be happy, whatever. It is your birthright. It is everyone's birthright. Even if you can give me lots of examples of why not, trust me, I've had a hard life. I know that what limitations are or can be, and I still believe that this is finally the time to start really practicing our free will, of really saying, no, I will not do something because I don't agree with it. I will not do something just because I'm told by my parents, by my employer, by my government, whatever. I have a free will to decide whether I want to do it or not. And if I am uncomfortable somewhere, I have a right to leave any moment. I get to choose what to do and what to believe. And I feel and I believe that if collectively we all start tuning into that, it's not going to be selfish. Though some people are like, oh my God, this is so selfish. You're only thinking about yourself. But when you're thinking about others at all times without thinking about yourself, this is selfish of them. Well, I do believe that we all want a connection. We are connected. It's just on a deeper level, we are all connected. We're just disconnected on the outside level because there are clearly some people who are benefiting from it. But if you really tune in with yourself, you will see that your desires are not that selfish at all, that they do involve other people, and that partially your own peace and comfort depends on the comfort and peace of the people around you. And the more we really practice our free will, the less we force ourselves to do something because it's a law, because it's a rule, because everybody's doing it, because your parents told you to do that, the more we will realize that we are all equal and we are all together in it. And we should not be destroying each other. We can we can be collaborating and creating things together. And um, a big example is the protests in my country 5 years ago, that were brutally suppressed by the riot police. And um, triggering topic. The thing is that the ones in power, um, they're the ones who are giving out orders, saying things, declaring things, whatever, but they're not the ones executing it. And they would not be able to do anything if the executors would just say no. If the riot police refused to follow the orders 5 years ago and the years before it and the years after, and actually turned around instead, and instead of torturing the people who are just trying to get their freedom, they could have just used all these weapons against the person who has been violating their rights the whole time. And it would be very fast and very simple. But those people believed that getting a high salary and a free apartment or whatever was more important. And maybe they were brainwashed. Many of them were definitely uneducated and lower intellect. And it it just it would have, like, it's so much easier to prevent and to stop all of this. But the thing is that we should all just work together, because the people in power do not have the real power. The real power is in us and in our ability and willingness to get together and to collaborate and to unite. And I wish I could stop all the shit that is happening. I wish I could undo all the harm that has been done to me and to other people. But it's not as easy. um, but I do believe that the power, the real power, is within us. And by awakening it, maybe Star Wars was a really big metaphor on lots of things. I don't know. You tell me. But maybe we can change everything by really questioning and stop believing that somebody else is in charge of our lives, and that it is indeed us, and it has always been us. So that's my unpopular opinion. And I don't even know, maybe this video is going to be banned or whatever. That would make sense, actually. So, what do you think? Do you think the world right now is trying to teach us a very valuable lesson? Or are you the one panicking and being terrified and paralyzed, or just trying to fight everybody else? And which side are you on? Is there a side? I don't know. I'm not trying to fight anyone in a way that we traditionally see happening in the world. So what do you think? What is your opinion on the current state of the world and on my opinion about it? Yeah, let me know in the comments. Very curious to see what people think and to see how unpopular this take actually is. And yeah, check out my other videos. They're on completely different topics, but still, some of the opinions are pretty unpopular, I guess. So there's gonna be the link to the playlist with the other videos. I'm not gonna list them in this one, I guess. But but yes, I'm glad that I shared what I think about it and how I feel. And in case you disagree with what I shared, let's just all collectively try to practice the free will and compassion and unity, and stop being like the sheep that are just um, told where to go and what to do, and just try to take responsibility and for ourselves first of all, and see what happens. And then if I'm wrong, I'll take it back. Okay. All right. Well, go practice your free will, and let's see what happens.